Of course, it annoys me like crazy when people say, "Oh yeah, you're from Belgium, really good, and you play with Mooncatchers," and I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And we're gonna stop talking now, and I'm gonna head out.
Okay.
We're gonna pull up a picture from when I was like 12 years old. That's
No, not that deep, not that deep.
Yeah, damn.
Yeah.
I look like 10 years old. And I look at my calendar and I'm like to my friends and like people that want to plan stuff with me, and I'm like, well, I have one weekend in June and I have one in August. Which one works best? And it's like, huh? I think in the ultimate, the bar of being in the 1% is even so low that if you're just doing stuff consistently, you're already in the 1%.
I'm wondering for kind of that European player that may be interested in following a similar path, of like moving to the US. Can you kind of maybe go over some of the high level steps of like, was anything surprising in that process? What were the main kind of touch points that you needed to think about or needed to do? How long did it take? Like, what kind of support did you need? Maybe even how much did it cost ballpark? What are some of those considerations that person might need to be aware of? Welcome to the Field of Mind podcast. Today we have Tobe Decraene here. Did I say that right?
Nice. Yeah, that was a good pronunciation.
Okay. Thank you. I practiced multiple times before this to make sure that I got it relatively right. So I'm glad that I did that. Welcome to the pod.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. Happy and excited for this chat.
Awesome. So, we're coming off the heel ends of obviously the UFA season where you received the honors of the MVP. But I know that that's probably something that you've been asked a lot about. So I actually don't want to head into that first. The first question that I have for you is I'd love for you to walk me through, because I really like hearing about ultimate origin stories. So kind of walk me through what's the significance of number 11 on your jersey, and then now switching to 33. What was the significance of 11?
Damn, you went all the way back to me starting when I was like 10 years old. Okay, so the real story, which I don't tell to a lot of people, but it's actually how I started with number 11. So for people who don't know, I started wearing number 11 before I switched to 33. Easily explained, there's no special backstory. I was too late to order my jerseys for a season. And so I've said this in a bunch of podcasts. My parents, like my mom, her side of the family played Frisbee. And my mom quit the year before. So there was basically this moment where I didn't have a jersey and she had an old jersey. And she was like, here, take my jerseys. They were like medium women's jerseys, and I was like a 10-year-old kid, and I was like, well, this fits me, so I'll just rock with number 11 for like the first 2-3 years, and then I think after like 3-4 years I switched to 33 in the national team, and kept 33 ever since.
Is there a specific reason why you went to 33? Like, I'm thinking, okay, it's number 11. You're the middle of 3 brothers. Do you have any other siblings? Or
no, I have 3. Yeah.
Okay. And it's your older brother, Lander, or how do you say his name? Is that
Lander, but Lander is
Lander.
Nice.
Okay. It's the French. Sorry. I have the French from Canadian French, but I always don't know the, okay. And what's your younger brother's name?
Stuff.
Stuff. Okay. Stuff. S-T-A-F. Stuff and Lander.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. And then is it like, okay, it's 3 brothers, times 11, so that's the 33, or where did the 33 come from?
No, I actually don't have a significant like backstory for it. It was basically like 23 is MJ and Braun, okay. And I was like, what number can I be to be like make my own number basically? Because like I think a lot of people in Ultimate have 88. A lot of them have like 10, 9, 23 is obviously a number a lot of people take. So I was like, what number is like kind of unclaimed, I guess, and can I make my trademark? And TDC 33 also sounds nice. So here we are, 33.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So you started playing Ultimate with Gentle in 2013, and I know that a bunch of people mistakenly say that you play for Mooncatchers. So that's just to be clear, and something crazy. That just to be clear for people that don't know, because again, self-admittedly, I didn't. and correct me if I'm wrong, but Gentle is from the Ghent region in Belgium. Mooncatchers is from oh,
Brussels.
I have it in my Brussels. Okay, Mooncatchers are from Brussels. They're about an hour drive away from each other. But Gentle started in, I think 2003, was it, or some pretty early, and it was your uncle who started it.
Indeed.
Okay, and then basically what had happened was, or just like what kind of the dynamic is like those are is it the two strongest open teams in the region, and you compete? Is it pretty regularly, or what is the dynamic like?
So we have like an indoor competition, we have an outdoor competition, we have a beach competition. So in a season, you basically play each other like 10, 15 times maybe. So like
oh wow,
most of the times it's like in finals or it's like in important moments. So there's definitely like a big rivalry going on. So of course it annoys me like crazy when people say, "Oh yeah, you're from Belgium, really good, and you play with Mooncatchers," and I'm like, "Yeah, sure," and we're gonna stop talking now, and I'm gonna head out.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like you play for Goat, and people say, "Yeah, it's really nice to see you play for Furious George. You're so great." And it's like, no, it's totally something different. We're maybe closer to each other because Belgium's small, but it's completely different.
Okay, yeah. And do you think that there's I think in one of the older videos too, you mentioned like one of the goals is to win, is it EUCF, the European Championships with Gentle? Like that's something that you still want to accomplish on the bucket list. Is that?
Yeah, that's a bit of like a goal on the back burners, let's say, for the moment, because obviously I'm here right now and doing my thing in the States, and I'm chasing the goals here first. But definitely, like that's where I started. That's my youth club, so that's something I definitely want to like give back to them one day, hopefully.
Okay, cool. And I wanted actually to bring it back to, again, kind of the start and the family part too, because I found that for even me in my experience and with a lot of players growing up, especially if Ultimate's kind of their main sport, you know, it's very rare that I think people even just have older family that have played Ultimate or like getting into Ultimate. Like how does one usually get into sport? It's usually their parents enroll them in it, or like it's common in their schools or et cetera. So I'm wondering from your perspective, like with your younger and older brother, Steph and I'm going to try the pronunciation. Wait, Londa.
Yeah.
Ish. Okay.
Ish.
Older, younger brother. Your mom played before, your uncle started Gentle.
Yeah.
How much of an impact do you think that your family had on you becoming kind of the player that you are?
Honestly, in becoming the player that I am, I think not that much, which sounds like pretty weird. I think they were more responsible for getting me into the sport, getting me like bought into the whole idea of like throwing plastic and running behind it. But I think like none of them have like a serious history of like training hard for Frisbee. They were like very high level volleyball players in the past, like professionally in Belgium. So they definitely were very athletic. But I guess like seeing my uncle do crazy plays and stuff, like instilled like a picture in my head of like, this is possible. Like you can do crazy stuff on the field. And I think for the first couple of years, I was chasing that a little bit more than like big goals. Let's say I just wanted to sky some people and do some layouts. And if I did that, I was totally fine for me. I didn't need to score a lot of goals or do anything. I just wanted to do cool stuff, basically. And then, I guess later on I was like, okay, let me try to do it in a bigger stage, better fields, better people, better teams. And I don't think that was like even something they considered possible, which is also why like I had to figure it out on my own a little bit. They support me fully in it, but like it wasn't something that they were like, oh, you're good, do you want to try going there, or do you want to go to the US? Or that isn't something they even considered, because I think they maybe didn't see it as possible. So I think that part I did on my own.
Okay. Can you walk me through some of that thought process then too, actually? Because I know that you've mentioned in the past that the other sports that you enjoyed playing a lot were like football, or like in terms of American soccer.
Yeah.
American football, sorry, soccer, whatever. That, and then basketball too. And like, I think there was a significant, there was a moment where you changed and focused quite a bit on Ultimate. Was it switching to a sports specific program. I didn't fully, I think, understand or follow the process, but can you maybe like, yeah, walk me through the process of what was that process like in terms of choosing ultimate and like going and leaning more and more into ultimate as your main sport?
Yeah. So before 2013, basically. So before I
Mm-hmm.
was 10 years old, there wasn't any youth scene in Belgium, or like there was a little bit, but not that much. So like we basically had one youth team of like 20 people, 12 to 18 years old, which is like a big
Mm.
gap. If you're 18 years old and you play with a 12-year-old, you're like, what is he doing here?
Yeah.
But I was 10, and that's when I made the flip or the switch to Frisbee. Before
Mm.
that, I played soccer or football. So I focused a little bit more on playing those sports before, but I didn't like leave all sports behind once I switched to Frisbee. So I think I played like basketball like an hour a day at least, from
Mm.
like 12 years old till I moved to Canada, basically. So when I was like 19, 18. So yeah, I definitely play a lot of different sports. Even now, I enjoy sports in general. So I think the biggest switch came when I actually got to play Frisbee in a organized scene with a club, with trainings, with tournaments. But then I think 3 years after me starting, or 4 years after me starting in a club, that's when I made the switch to like, okay, how can I basically tailor my life to being a better Frisbee player? So if I had a hard training, maybe I would only shoot at basketball instead of trying to dunk the whole time. So I started like scheduling my life a little bit around my Frisbee life.
Mm.
Yeah.
And how old were you when you started doing that? Was that when you were like
14. Yeah.
14?
Yeah.
Okay. So 14 is when you started taking ultimate pretty seriously.
Yeah. I had like it's pretty difficult to explain to North Americans because we have a different school system. But basically, you have
Mm.
like, I think, elementary, middle school, and then high school, which totals 12 years. We have those in two blocks of 6 years. So we
Mm.
have elementary school, and then you have high school. High school is 12 until 17, 18-ish. And if you fail your levels, like if you fail too many classes, you have to redo your year. And so basically, I did that. I was a bad student. But I was in like a very theoretical education system without like any sports or no movement. And I'm pretty bad at concentrating myself for a long time, or I was pretty bad at concentrating myself for a long time. And then I had to redo my years. I went to sports school where I did like 18 to 20 hours of sports every week. And then only like
Oh.
15, 16 hours of actual classes, which was a blessing. And then, yeah, and that's when I made like the big switch, because I was surrounded by like-minded people who were like chasing football careers, or tennis careers, or gymnastics. So that was like basically surrounding yourself. It's super cliche, but surrounding yourself with like-minded people, and
Mm-hmm.
it helps so much.
And was that the, would you say that maybe that's, I really like that quote, I think from it's happened in some of the Diary of CEO episodes, like you had mentioned, but also the Chris Williamson, where it's like, you are the average of your 5 closest friends. So it sounds
Yeah.
like, that environment in high school was kind of your first taste of, okay, being surrounded by people that are very driven from a sport specific capacity or perspective.
Yeah, definitely. That's
Okay.
also like, if we go back to that quote, that's the main reason I moved here. Like, how can
Mm.
I become even better than in Europe? Like, surround myself with the best coaches, with the best players, with all the best environment. Like, get myself in the best environment possible, and I'll grow to be in that same environment, or like at that
Yeah.
same level eventually. So that's what I did.
I think that's a great transition to maybe some of the questions that I had about, okay, so we've talked a little bit about what it was like growing up in Belgium and like how kind of you got started in the ultimate scene, also how you got started in just sports in general. And it sounds like you had a very, individual interest push to play higher and higher levels. I don't want to go straight into the story of like what it took to come over to to Canada and then to the US first, but I kind of want to touch on and just kind of give flowers to, again, this is your second year in the UFA. First year, you get Rookie of the Year. Second year, you get the MVP. But I think one of the most impressive things personally, when I was listening to some of the interviews that you would give previously or just chatted about, is like your mindset around, whether you have, playing at a super high level, you will be tested in multiple different contexts. So speaking, I guess, from not personal experience, from what I've heard, it is extremely draining and tiring for people that have played on Team Canada, the top club team in their region, and then also maybe a university team as well. And like, if you're also going to Worlds, like that's just 4 tournaments that you're preparing for to peak for. And probably you're not going to exceed expectations or win all of them every single year. So, dealing with the positive results and negative results, one of the things that I thought was really impressive was that you try to train and just like almost like treat the wins and losses equally. It's like, yeah, we won. Okay, I won the MVP. Next day, I'm benching 225, right? Or like, if I lost, okay, yeah, that sucks. But again, I got to train so I can prepare for the next time that I get this opportunity. So I wanted to ask, like, where did you learn that mindset? Was that from high school? Was that from some of the reflection that you had done? Family? Where did that come from?
I think that comes from like basically, it's gonna sound stupid, but trying out so many different things and doing so many different like Frisbee related stuff and like even life related stuff. Like if you do something and you succeed or you don't succeed, like I always afterwards, I don't know if you've ever had that moment, but like when you win something, for example, there's like this moment of realization. You go in your head a little bit and you think about like, okay, what did I just do? Like, how did this happen? Like, and a lot of people like then get emotional and do whatever. I try to think more of it as like a little bit analytical. So like, for example, when we won the UFA, I was super happy. And then I was like, okay, I did have some turns. I did have some plays that I could do different. I did have some things that I wasn't really happy with. And I go like after a performance, I take my time. I'm happy, whatever. But then I go to like basically a recap of what happened. And after that recap, it's just life as usual again. So it's like, even if you're super happy, even if you're super sad, after that, like you realize like life is still the same, it's not going to change because of one event. So I think that's the main reason why I always go back to like, yeah, it's just the same. And then I think something that helps, or that developed that mindset maybe a little bit is, being on a lot of different teams. I've had like this year it's been a little quieter, let's say. But last season, 2024 and 2023, I was on like 4 or 5 teams at the same time. UFA, club in the US, club in Belgium, and then U24s and Opens national team. And you're on Tuesday and Thursday, you're training UFA. In the weekends, you're flying to Boston for a club training. Then you're flying back to Belgium for a preparation tournament. And like, you have to be able to switch one thing off and go to the next one. Because if you're not going to be able to do that, like every team plays different and you have a different role in every team, of course. So if you're not able to like flip the switch of being like, okay, I'm in this new team now, and this is how I should act in this team, basically going to take you a couple of hours to adjust to it every time. And then you're losing so much time. So you need to be able to flip that switch right away. And I think you can do something similar with like after winning or losing, or like going to a different season, or like from UFA to club, just flipping the switch on, like turning the page. Basically, it's a new chapter and starting something over.
Yeah. The thing that this reminds me of is like, have you heard of the like compartmentalization, like that kind of? Okay, yeah. Is that kind of what you're speaking to, or is it something different?
I guess it's kind of that, but I also think it's just something like starting a clean sheet every time you're done with something, or you've finished something, no matter how it ended. But then again, like, be careful about like just leaving it behind, forgetting about it. I still go back to certain plays that I did wrong like 2 years ago or last year, to not forget those, but still keep like work on something that's going to be in your future, which is going to be your game. So it doesn't have any like benefit for you to think about. For example, in my case, a personal one is like it doesn't have any benefit for me to think about the loss against Japan in Australia, which is probably the worst loss I've ever had. But it has some benefit for me to look at my game of that game specifically, how I played and what went wrong for me personally, because I'm going to have my game in the future. I'm not going to have that specific game in the future. So don't dwell on things you can't change anymore. But if there's something you can learn from it, like use it. You would be stupid to like make a mistake and then not think about what you can adjust to be better in the future.
Yeah. It's a data point to consider, but not dwell on, so that you can use it to improve in the future, but not to just kind of sit in the depths of, depression, self-reflection.
Yeah, indeed.
Okay. Gotcha. And then to build on that too, because again, I think that it's really that specific skill of being able to, I think, compartmentalize is really important to playing sports, but also in general, just life, to be able to say like, okay, this happened in the past. How do I use it intentionally for the future and not just kind of sit in whatever the result is, whether positive or negative? Because there's a downside to both. If you sit in the negative for too long, that can just affect your future behavior. You don't put in the work. Maybe you just, lie on the bed or on the couch. But if you sit in the positives for too long, again, it's like you rest on your laurels. It runs the risk of people that are suffering the defeat to catch back up to you. So I'm wondering, to go a bit more in detail, like, do you have like a set process that you follow in terms of like reviewing those past mistakes? Do you write them down after? Do you revisit them through film, like watching, the games that you've played? Like, what is your process?
Yeah, so maybe one thing that's good to mention is I'm definitely not a robot. So it's not like I'm just, oh, okay, next. Like, I don't care. I don't have any emotions. Of course, it hurts sometimes. And it's also fine to like, if you don't have a new season or like a new goal to chase right away, it's fine to be like sad or down for like a couple of days. Like, that's not a problem. But yeah, I definitely have like some things that I do. I wouldn't necessarily say I have like a routine or something specific that I always do. I just do stuff that helps me or that I feel like I should do. One is journaling. That's really helped me, especially in negative situations. It's like super basic, but like writing negative emotions down helps you like basically flush them out of your system almost. It's like you write them down and they're out of your system, and it's like, it feels relieved. It's like talking to somebody, saying it out loud. That's definitely something I like to do. And then reviewing film is also something I generally do. But I basically do it whenever. So winning, losing, I always review the game we played or how I played specifically. So those two are like pretty much must-dos for me after any game, basically. So I would say those are fine. And then sometimes what can help or what is like beneficial, if you feel the need for it, it's like talking with a teammate, talking with like people that understand you, basically. And if your team's up for it, like a group team conversation can also be useful. So yeah, those are like three things I'd say are nice to do or like are valuable.
Yeah. I think the watching film piece is, especially as a younger player, when I grew up in Vancouver, so like West Coast Canada.
Yeah.
And I think one of the challenging parts with being maybe a less experienced or less skillful players, like there's not a whole lot of, when I was younger, there wasn't a whole lot of opportunity to get film. But I think that was one thing that I underestimated, which is just like even the value of having a family member or friend just like recording a few points on the sideline and like being able to have that to watch back. Because when you're going through it, in the moment and you're playing, it's so hard to, you're focused 100% hopefully on execution and just playing and being in the moment. You're not going to remember what you did at specific moments and like be able to see the entire field. So the film piece is a great call out. I'm glad that you had mentioned that. The other thing too around journaling, I actually love to dive more into this mental side too, because I think the chat that I had before with Elia Bonet was also something that similarly impressed me, with both of your perspectives on like physical prep, obviously, but also the mental prep side. And I know that you've talked a lot again about focusing on mental prep. I forget the person's name, but I know that you have a specific mental prep person that's been helping you out as well. So I kind of wanted to dive a bit into that. The one thought too that I was just thinking about when you're talking about journaling, do you know what alexithymia is? Have you heard of that kind of
I haven't
word
heard of it,
before?
no.
I know it's like I know it's kind of random to throw out there, but my understanding is like it's basically the inability to identify what emotions you're feeling.
Okay.
So like to put the words to it. So if people are just listening, or if you just want to Google it, it's like the feelings wheel. There's a bunch of different kind of like tools that you can use to kind of like help identify it. I found it in my personal experience too that and I know that a lot of the people that, at least from the stats of this podcast, are mainly male identifying people. So I think from what I've heard, it's generally that guys have a tougher time of identifying what emotions they're feeling because maybe more generally we are not as encouraged to kind of express or kind of emote or express certain emotions or kind of identify them. So it's a bit tougher for us to even identify them. So I think that I like, again, the specific call out about journaling about the emotions, because you're able to almost like, just like how you get the reps in the gym of like, trying to do the repetitions at first with lower weight at lower stakes so that you can get your body used to it, so that when you get to game like situations or when you need to translate it into more like sport specific movements and you need to execute. I like that idea too of almost like, it's like the low stakes reps of like kind of being more emotionally aware. It's like when you are journaling, you are getting the reps in of like, for me, it was pulling up that feelings wheel and then just like trying to go back to that moment of on the field, the frustration. Okay, like what is that emotion? I think one typical thing too that I've heard and like experienced too is like it's hard for me maybe to come up with the words that express my emotion, but I know what it feels like physically in my body because I've been, I've played some sports for most of my life. So it's like, oh, I can tell my chest is tight. I can tell like I'm like holding my hands because I'm uncomfortable. And like trying to describe that physical feeling or, using resources to identify the actual emotions and then writing it down. That's been really helpful for me too, because when I get into, and I'm sure you've also experienced this as well, the high pressure games, like it's universe point, or like maybe you're down by a few points, your team isn't executing like you would want them to. I think the emotions can run high there. And what you don't want to have happen is for you to not be aware of what you're feeling and then just to snap at your teammates, because that's not going to be helpful. It's like to be a stable emotional or like stable and effective player means managing and being aware of your emotions. And again, that's why I like the call out of journaling and kind of writing down what you're feeling when you're feeling it is kind of the small reps that you're putting in outside of the game, because it is a tangible effect on your general life, but also on the field.
Yeah, definitely. I work with Gabe Franklin, and he also said like something you mentioned there is like doing the reps first so you can use them at like high stakes situations. Like you don't want to start journaling once you have the worst like loss of your life, basically, because it might help a little bit, but like you won't specifically know what to do, what to write, what helps you. So if you don't want to talk to somebody, that's totally fine. Writing it down is one thing already, and like starting to understand your own emotions will help you better like identify them and basically work with and against them sometimes in game like situations or in important moments. I think that's definitely something that helps.
Cool. I kind of want to take you back now to so let me pull up a screen share. This is one thing that let me see if I can no. It's I know a lot of people probably ask you about some highlights and some other things too, but again, I kind of want to go a little bit more in the throwback direction. So let me see if I can get this up.
Oh, if you're gonna pull up a picture from when I was like 12 years old, that's gonna
no, not that deep, not that deep. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, damn. I look like 10 years old.
So this is you, I think 19. This is December 2022.
Yeah.
You're talking about, did I quit school? It's some Q&A. But in this video, you mentioned you're talking about, I think, 2023 U24 goals. Do you remember what your goal was and what you said?
Damn, I write so many goals down. I think one of my goals was definitely top 8. I think I said top 8 or top 4.
Top 6, actually, right in the middle.
Top 6.
Top 6. Yeah, because Belgium, the highest they'd ever placed was 7th.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know if I had any specific personal goals, but I think, did I have? They have some?
I think it was mainly team. You just mentioned in this one, like
Okay.
this is the team you're playing for. This is
Yeah.
your goal for U24s. Yeah.
Yeah. Funny to look back at.
So to I guess cut to the chase at the 2023 U24s with Belgium, you end up going to the finals and then losing to the US. And I kind of wanted to again just kind of look at this from the lens of how you did how even at 19. Again, I can think of when I was 19 and playing Ultimate. Like I just still feel like I was such a baby as a player, or such a, like a a relatively inexperienced mindset. So for the folks maybe watching that are from Europe, from the North America, from Canada, the US, that their goals are to play, at the highest level that they can, whether that's U20s, U24s. They probably have goals of making the team, placing well at the tournament. Like, was there a moment of reflection when you were 19 after this finals game? Like, do you remember what some of the emotions, the process was of dealing with the feelings after the game, during the game? Like, walk me through kind of that process.
Yeah, well, to be very honest with you, you picked the one tournament that I didn't have a lot of time to reflect, so that I didn't
Okay.
like fully go over everything, just because I had like it was in the UK, and it ended 6 days before the opening game of European Championships for the Open division for the seniors. So I had like 6 days in between the final and the opening game of like the next tournament. So I played the European Championships and the World Championships like quite short, like in succession. I do remember, like, obviously it was the first time Belgium put themselves on the map, like a little bit at least. It's super like unmotivating to lose like that, to basically go 5-5 with the US and be like, oh, we might actually be able to pull something off here, and then get broken 5 times in a row. So that was super unmotivating and like very, very difficult to process, I'd say. But I tried to not, like, in that moment, I tried to not like overanalyze, because I have basically like a whole new tournament, a whole new journey coming up like 5-6 days later. So I know what I need in those moments, and in that moment I needed something not Frisbee. So I went on a holiday with my parents in between the UK and Limerick, which was where the European Championship was. And I didn't touch a Frisbee. I didn't run. I didn't do anything. I made sure my body felt good. I ate well. I slept good. And I didn't think about anything at all. So the first day after the final, obviously I went back and like thought about it for a bit. What I could have done different, what we should have done different as a team. We made some like tactical mistakes there as well. So I definitely went back like for a short while, but I think 30 minutes, and then I was like, okay, and now I need to shut this out. Like, I've been preparing for this tournament for like 6 months, super intense. And I have a new one in like five days, so I don't want to dwell on it for too long. Because like there's only so much your mind can, your mind is super occupied with Frisbee, and there's only so much you can take basically. So I try to be like, again, as I said, new chapter, new page. It's a new team, a new tournament, a new country. So start from zero, and go into the tournament and see what happens. And then after that tournament, I had a big break, and I reviewed both of them at the same time a little bit.
Okay, gotcha. I think even from listening to that, still to put it in context, like at 19, to be able to have that mental awareness to kind of say, I put in a lot of prep. And again, I want to call out specifically for people that are maybe listening, like you put in 6 months of prep beforehand. So that's the physical, mental prep that you knew you could lean on. So it gave you that flexibility of understanding that, okay, in this week, I need to get away from Ultimate just to like reset my headspace and just focus on recovery. Like that awareness, that reflection process does strike me as something that, a very experienced or more like it's a very intelligent or like more leaning to wisdom kind of thought or reflection to do that not a lot of I don't think 19-year-olds would be able, or 20-year-olds would be able to kind of do in that moment. So I want to dig into that piece a bit more. And like, again, the mental side, was that something that was always just ingrained, natural? How did you learn that?
Um, I think in Europe the tournaments are scheduled like in a specific order, and you have so many tournaments going on at the same time, and like
Mm.
seasons going on at the same time, basically. And I've always been a part of multiple teams,
Yeah.
which basically like if you play weekend one in Italy and the next weekend you play in Poland and the next weekend you play in Belgium, like it's the same time interval, so you have to be able to like switch off your
Oh.
mind or like adapt to new tournaments and new environments pretty quickly. um
Okay.
and I know if I have a big stakes tournament at weekend one and weekend two is also big stakes, I've had that a couple of times in the past, so I know how I need to prep my body in 5 days time. I might have done it a little bit different if I had access to like a gym, to my home, basically to an ice bath. I would have done stuff different, of course. But like I know what my body needs at that moment, and let's just not think about ultimate, eat well, move a
Okay.
little bit, of course, and just see, yeah, wait for the next tournament, basically.
Okay, gotcha. And when did that kind of frequency of tournament? Because again, speaking from my experience, I don't think that I've ever had that frequent of back-to-back high importance tournaments before.
Yeah.
So when did that start with you? Like, was that in ultimate? Was that in other sports, or was that
No, that was definitely an ultimate. But
okay?
I think it started in like 2021, 2022, maybe. Like after COVID, it was my first year at like
Oh.
seniors. And yeah, then you just had like, I remember vividly like moments where I was like in like beginning of March, mid March, and I look at my calendar and I'm like to my friends and like people that want to plan stuff with me, and I'm like, well, I have one weekend in June and I have one in August. Which one works best? And it's like, huh? It's like it's in a span of 4 or 5 months, you have 2 weekends free. And I was like, yeah, sorry, that's how it goes. So I think that's definitely always been since 2021, 2022, whenever our first full season after COVID was again.
Mm.
That's basically the pace I've been living at, and I'm still living at the same pace. So, uh,
Okay.
yeah. So I think that's almost second nature.
Okay, gotcha. So it's like, yeah, that 2021, 2022. That's when is that 18, 19 years old?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. And then again, for just to repeat back, it was 14, 15 was when you, making that switch to the sports specific school. That's kind of when you chose ultimate as your main focus. So again, even the reason why I say it is because I think it is, I want to call it out where it's like, it's not, I mean this almost in the most complimentary way possible, but like it shouldn't be a surprise at why you've had so much success in the past 2 years. I think like a lot of people, especially in the kind of UFA kind of scene, maybe if they weren't familiar with your game or like where you came from or whatever, they maybe only saw Rookie of the Year last year and then MVP this year, and they're like, okay, well, what did that come from? Well, I just kind of want to illustrate to the folks listening, where it's like, okay, well, it was like 20 hours a week of sports in 2014 until 2021, 2022, where if anything, it ramped up in terms of
yeah.
commitment.
That's 20
Like,
hours is only school. Like I trained before
and
and
that's
after
only
school.
school.
That's when the two
Yeah.
a days
The
started,
two a
and
days too.
school doesn't count in the two a days. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So like just that level of work and discipline, you mentioned some basketball players, and like, I think that's, now I'll speak personally too of like that's one aspect of I think training that I've always wanted to try to integrate into my life, which is like when the NBA players, when Kobe talks about, yeah, or like the stories about Kobe about he wakes up, gets his workout in, like, and when he's at breakfast, then his teammate pulls up and is like, wait,
Yeah.
what, you already got a workout in? Like, what? And then you go to breakfast, you eat your food, maybe go home, you do your rest, and you get up and you go your second practice of the day, and like that's your training schedule. Like that's something that I've really wanted to try to experience, and what I'm trying to build towards. So maybe yeah, I'll selfishly ask, like, for somebody that is their goal, whether they're around that age where you started, where it's like 14, 15, or up to like early, mid, late 20s. That's like, what are the biggest maybe challenges or commitments or things that you needed to maybe develop in terms of skill to be able to do that? Like, how long
Yeah.
did that take? Was that something that felt natural to you? Or, yeah, kind of walk me through some of those thoughts.
Yeah, I always think it's like it goes in a lot of different aspects of life, but everything is very easy and very unsexy. So goes the same for exercising, for training. Like people want to find the quickest hacks, the newest, fanciest. No, it's super easy. Like you don't need to make it any more difficult. Same goes with like training multiple times a day, giving everything for a sport. It's again the basics, the easy stuff. Like people say you're gonna be misunderstood. Well, it's true. But how does that look in like practically? Like your friends are gonna ask you if you want to go to whatever, bowling, go drinking, go partying, and then it's the difference between saying yes or no. If you are able to say no, you'll be able to have a morning workout the next day. If you say yes, you're not gonna have a morning workout, or it won't be a productive one. And that might feel like only like a small miss you have, or like a small disadvantage towards somebody who does train. I think mentally it has a huge impact. Just knowing that you're ahead of people is super, super motivating. So it's the beginning that's the hardest, in my opinion. But again, like as I've said, not everybody is in the situation that you can train multiple times a day. Like I'm pretty blessed with being able to build my life around Frisbee. And I know in the world, there's not a lot of people who can do that. For Frisbee specifically, I know for like other sports, there's a lot of people who are able to do it. But yeah, I think it's all the classics, as I've said, like commitment. You're going to be misunderstood. You're going to have to miss things that you want to do that like you can't do. And it's going to be boring sometimes. Like you're going to have to say it yourselves at 10 PM, like, I'm going to go to sleep now. There's a lot of fun things I can do, but I have to sleep because I need my rest. There's like these small things that people don't think about that like basically are sacrifices to become better and to train to be better. And they're very unsexy. It's not like a crazy hack of an insane schedule and whatever. It's like, no, it doesn't work like that. It's the basics.
I always liked that quote too, of just like, yeah, things are simple but not easy. Like it's very simple to understand, okay, I got to work out, multiple times a week. I got to get your rest. I got to go to sleep on time, but it's not easy to do those things consistently.
No, that's the same with like a totally different example, but like losing weight. I think 99.9% of people know how to lose weight. Not everybody will do it. Like pretty much nobody will do it. There's a small percentage of people that actually put in the work to then be able to achieve their goal, which translate to the situation we're describing. Like maybe not everybody knows exactly what to do, but you have a broad understanding of what you need to do to become better. You need to throw more, you need to run more, you need to do strength training, you need to sprint more, you need to jump more. But are you going to do it? Like that's the question.
Yeah. And if you were to maybe speak to that individual who has, because I think, anybody can have a goal of playing and being the MVP of whatever league or making whatever team. Like for that person that is, let's say, somebody like you at 14, 15, but maybe not super into the sport background yet, but they have these goals. Like you mentioned that the hardest part is just getting started. Do you have any thoughts that you'd want to share with that individual?
There's so much you can say, but like, if you want to get there, like, think about it. How are you going to get there? And do it. Like, don't like, I hate people making everything super complicated. I think people that know me best will know I think black, white, left, right, up, down. I don't think like in very complicated situations. I try to make everything as easy as possible. If you want to get started. Like, you want to be better, do this. You know what you have to do to be better. So be better. Train more. It's pretty easy. And yeah, if you really want to do it, I know the people who are listening and that are actually, I think there's like, let me say this. There is a couple of types of people listening for the moment. If we talk about the people with the big goals, there's a couple that are like, oh yeah, I really want to achieve this. I really have everything. Like I would sacrifice so much to get this or to get that. And then it's like, yeah, okay. But okay, I'm going to rest, or I'm going to game, or I'm going to go with my friends. And then you have people that are like, okay, I really want to get this. What do I need to do? What is next for me to get closer to the goal, what I want to achieve. And they're going to hopefully use this podcast as like, okay, just start, do stuff. And if you do wrong stuff, totally fine. I started off training push-pull legs, which is the most bodybuilding split ever, which is super wrong for ultimate Frisbee players. But I started, so it's easier to adjust something than to start something up. So if you start, you're closer to your goal than if you don't start.
Yeah, starting is one of the toughest parts. And then another quote that I'm reminded of is like, oh, if you want to be part of the top 1% of whatever craft that you have, you need to do things that 99% of people won't do. And that's not necessarily doing things that are exceptional or crazy. To be part of that 1% when it comes to, like ultimate, is going to sleep on time, saying no to bowling and hanging out with friends, having maybe 1 or 2 weekends in the entire summer where you're available to hang out. Like those are the things that it's unsexy. It is maybe not it's not difficult to understand, but it's difficult to do. It's difficult
Definitely.
to commit to.
I think in the ultimate, the bar of being in the 1% is even so low that if you're just doing stuff consistently, you're already in the 1%. So if you do two leg lifts per week and go throwing once a week and do 1 sprint session a week, you're definitely already in the 1% if you can do it consistently. So I think like ultimate is in a moment where like it attracts more and more people, it gets more popular, but still the bar to be a top athlete in the sport is, in my opinion, compared to other sports, not that high.
Relatively low.
Yeah. So it's quote unquote not that hard to get in there, to get in the 1%. So I'd say take advantage of it.
Okay. That's part of the reason why I still have the goals too about like playing Team Canada and all these things. It's like, it feels because, and again, pass is a pass. I can't control it. Like my path to where I'm at now, it has led me to a spot where playing, making Team Canada Open it seems attainable, but still very tough challenge, right?
Yeah.
And it's like something that I just want to try to experience, see how far I can push myself, see how far I can go, and to do those things, it's more about the skills and execution and level of discipline that I need to hold myself in order to do those things, which is like going to sleep on time and waking up to do my morning workouts, or like going out to do some of the cardio sprint training that I am terrible at and hate doing, or doing the physio, every night instead of every 2 days sort of thing. So I really like that note or kind of advice for the younger player or the person that is maybe getting more into ultimate or serious about ultimate, where it's like, it's in a nice spot right now where you can see exceptional returns if you do some of the kind of baseline things, maybe if you compare it to other sports, but at the same time, like it's still an experience that, yields a lot of benefit in other parts of life as well.
Definitely. Like if you compare it to basketball, for example, you might have multiple workouts a day. If you're not tall, you're not gonna make it. Sorry, it sucks. In ultimate, you have multiple spots you can play, positions you can play. So I think anybody with any background can make it. It's only gonna take some work and some time.
I wanted to ask a bit more about. I know you said it's more like your mindset is more kind of like yes or no, binary kind of thinking, like black or white. And I'm wondering, does that still apply from the perspective of your goals and motivations? Like you have certain goals in terms of, even before you had said, you want to be the MVP of the UFA, which you've checked off now, which is sweet. In that video, I think you mentioned you want to be MVP of the UFA, and you've checked that off. MVP of the club US season, winning the EUCF, the finals, European Ultimate Championships, I think. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering, from the motivation side, like why the goals that you have, the goals that you've set, the goals that you've achieved, does that kind of like yes or no mindset also apply to the motivations for why you have these goals? Or is it something like, is there a specific reason why you have these goals? I guess is what I'm asking.
I think maybe to circle quickly back on the goals, I think for the US Club Nationals, like the UFA MVP one was the only personal one. So I think US Nationals, I just want to win it. So I don't care if I score 0 goals and we win it. I'm good with that. I just want to win it. As you've said, I think quite binary in those terms. It's like yes, no. So in my opinion, like, have I reached the MVP? Yes, I have. But then again, like, it's about setting goals, and then when you reach those goals, setting new ones. So when we got to championship weekend, I changed one of my goals already, which I know is pretty quickly, but I changed it from winning a UFA championship to winning most UFA championships in history. So I got at least 4 more to go, which is going to be tough, but that's why I set goals. So again, yeah, about the non-complicated thinking. Have I reached my goals? No, I set a new one. So I have reached some goals already, but I've set a new one. So I've still got plenty of things to chase and awards to get after. So yeah, I don't really go in depth about like how I want to reach those or when I want to reach those. I want to reach those. That's it.
Okay. Is there any specific reason why you have such, I guess, high goals? Because I guess the question that I have is, I think maybe I've been a person that maybe indexes too more on, like, I don't know, it's a positive and negative in terms of just reflection. I think with anything, if you do it too much, it can become bad or poor. But I've heard the perspective of like, from the, like, have you heard of like moving goalposts and like the danger of that, or like, I'm wondering what your perspectives are on moving goalposts, because again, if the goal is to, okay, I want to win, the UFA championships. Okay, you've won one now. I want to win 5. When you win 5, like, is there any thoughts around the moving goalpost piece, or like why you have the specific goals that you have?
Yeah, I don't really see it as a moving goalpost. I see it more as like a progression, let's say. So if you want to get, like, for people that are listening and not watching, if you have a graph that's going up, like, you have to reach every dot before you get at the top dot, the end of the graph. So like that's more how it goes in my mind. So I've reached one goal, which is like a part of the graph going upwards. And then when I reach it, I set my new point. So I think I'll reflect back on it, like, when my career is over, which is like a long time from now. And I hope I'll be happy with what I performed at that point. But I'm not too worried about the moving goalpost.
Okay.
I like to set very high expectations for myself. And I'm very critical on myself. So I think that motivates me, or like drives me in the right direction. Like, to stay focused and to stay on track. Like, it's a very humbling thought to think what I've done to get here, and then to know that I need 5 more. So
yeah,
I think that's a good thing for me. And I don't know what the correct saying is, but I guess it's something like aiming for the moon, shooting the stars, or something like that. If I don't reach it, then I have like 4 championships. You know what? It's not the worst career ever. So that's basically how I view it.
Okay, gotcha. You'd be the Shaq to the Kobe in that example. That if you maybe don't hit the mark or don't pass the top person, which isn't a bad thing too. If you're the Shaq of the UFA,
but, I'd like to be the Kareem.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, fair. Gotcha. one for every finger plus 1 extra.
Yep.
That's one of the things that they should add to the UFA. They should give everybody a ring too, instead of just a medal.
Minnesota did it last year. They got rings. And I think they were the second team that did it, but it was apparently quite expensive. We looked at it and it was like $500 a ring, so we decided not to do it. I'm not going to reveal what we're gonna have, but we have like a post-season party thing, which we're gonna have some nice gifts. I think I've seen some mock-ups already, and they look pretty sick.
That's sick. I'll look forward to seeing that on some of the socials. I'm sure you'll keep people updated about it. All right, sweet. Just to kind of switch gears one last time, kind of speaking to, again, the process of growing up playing in Belgium and then moving to first Montreal to play for the Royale, and then to Boston with Boston Glory. I'm wondering, for kind of that European player that may be interested in following a similar path of like moving to the US, can you kind of maybe go over some of the high level steps of like, was Was anything surprising in that process? What were the main kind of touch points that you needed to think about or needed to do? How long did it take? Like, what kind of support did you need? Maybe even how much did it cost ballpark? What are some of those considerations that person might need to be aware of?
Yeah, I get quite a lot of messages or DMs from people like, "Oh, how did you do this? How can I get there too? My dream is to be in the UFA. How did you do it?" Which is awesome to hear that there's European interest to go to the UFA. To be quite honest with you guys, I didn't really understand or have an idea on like how expensive, how long, and how complicated like migration processes are. Because if you want to get paid in the US, obviously, or in North America, you need a visa. So I had a visa for Montreal, Canada first, and this year I have a visa for the US. But it takes a lot of time. So it's basically like a court case where you have to go and present what you can add to the country. Basically, it's different in each country. In Canada, it was basically easier than in the US for sure. I just went with a bunch of files to Canada, and when I landed, I went to the immigration services, and I had to basically show them my whole case and why they should allow me to play in the UFA, and like all specifics around that, where I was going to live, how much I was going to make, stuff like that. For the US, it's quite different. For the US, I had to go in Belgium because we didn't want to risk going to the US and then being rejected and being sent back. I also have a different visa here than in Canada. In Canada, I had a work visa, which is like a very standard visa. Here, it's quite cool. I have a visa of extraordinary ability. So I had to go to the immigration office in Belgium, and basically it was quite a funny situation. I had to explain them that I was extraordinary at playing Frisbee, which was a very funny situation. But the guy knew Frisbee and he was very excited, and he was very, very hyped for me to go to the US. And it took like a very short time, and I was in, and I got my visa a couple of days later, and then I flew out. Financially, how it works for me personally is the clubs pay the visas and stuff. They're quite expensive, so I'm very happy they do. I think in Canada it was like $3,000 Canadian, which is like $2,000 US. And then for the US one, also because it's a longer visa and a more special visa, I guess, it was quite a bit more, I think, in the direction of $5,000. So it's quite expensive, but that's why we have a professional league and not an amateur league.
Gotcha. So then, in terms of timeline for maybe when you first started seriously trying to pursue or was in contact with some folks in Canada about trying to get this process through, and then moving or like being on the flight or just kind of being able to get on the flight and land here and start playing, like how long did that take?
I feel like that's very, like, you work with lawyers, of course, because it's a court case, an immigration court case. I think it very much depends on how much the team pushes and also which lawyers they hire. In Canada, I started in 2023 to work with them in September, and I got on I arrived in Montreal in March. So it took me like 7-8 months to get everything done. In Boston, it took me about 4. So it was quite a bit faster, but it's going to take some time for sure. So you got to.
It's not a matter of weeks.
No, definitely not. You're very lucky if you can get it done within like a couple of months.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
What kind of things did you need to prepare anything for, I guess, even the first one to Canada or the second? I know the exceptional athlete one, you talked about preparing literally like a binder of articles and maybe some other things. Were there any other materials that you needed to prep for either?
So for the lawyers prep those. So I just basically go with a big file of paper with all articles about me, but also about, like, in Canada, I remember there was an article about a soccer or football player that went to a city in Ghent, basically with the thought of, like, look, we take Canadians, now you can take Belgians as well. Which is like, there's like so many different things in there. And in Canada, I had like a binder of like 100 pages. And in the US, I guess the immigration is a bit more strict. And I had a binder of like almost 500 pages.
Wow.
Yeah, which was crazy. Especially considering the fact that I came into the office with the guy who was like interviewing me, and he was so chill about everything. And he was like, "Oh yeah, that's super cool. Oh, I have some friends in college that play, super fun. And do you know how to do a layout?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do." And he didn't even look at my papers. He looked at like the first 5, 6, and he was like, "Yeah, show me your contract with the club." And oh yeah, you've been accepted. Go ahead. And I was like, well, this is a waste of paper, but I mean, so yeah, that was a special process. So
I still think it's so funny that he asked, "Oh, do you know what a layout is?"
No, he knew what a layout was. He was like, "Can you do one?" Because I think
can you do one?
He might have seen it from one of his friends or whatever, and he was like, "Oh, can you do one? Because that's impressive." And I was like, "Yeah, sure." Sometimes, I was so stressed and like focused on like my papers and everything I needed to show and say. And he caught me so off guard with like, "Can you do a layout?" And I was like, "Huh?" I had to like double check if that was actually what he asked. But yeah, that was fun.
You're wondering like, is this these are the questions that they're asking me?
Yeah, I had no idea. I was like, okay, this is maybe like the preparation for like the actual interview, which is going to be later. And he was like, "No, you're accepted. It's all fine."
You're good.
Like, okay, well, that was easy.
Okay. I'm glad to hear that it was a much less stressful experience than you expected.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Okay, maybe some rapid fire just to close things out. One of the things that I wanted to also mention was I know in a lot of previous interviews and things, you've given your flowers to your teammates and just like, Montreal teammates to Boston teammates. I thought there was one specific kind of line that I thought was funny about like, yeah, I don't want to glaze Babbitt too hard, and then you were talking about like how, but I know even from the past, before even going to Boston, you had talked about specifically playing with Babbitt as like something that you really were looking forward to. So now again, just taking a moment to kind of reflect on that experience playing in Boston, playing with Babbitt. You don't need to touch too long on it. And then again, I'll kind of give you a preview. I'd love to give you the opportunity to give your flowers to maybe some other folks that you've played with in the past on Boston or on Montreal or whatever other teams, maybe back in Ghent and on Gentle as well. Coaches, any kind of big figures. Anybody that you want to kind of shout out or mention or give props to.
I'll answer the Jeff question first. I think I've said pretty much everything that's there's to be said about him and about training with him and about living close to him. Like, he's an exceptional human being and an exceptional athlete, and like I'm very confident that I wouldn't be at the spot today where I was without him, like 100%. So yeah, that just shows like the role he took in the team this year shows how much he cares about other people. Like, he can go out there and say, "I'm gonna sky everybody, just hook it to me." And you know what? It might actually work like 95% of the time. But he said, like, "We're lacking a good reset hander. I'm going to do it because I'm going to be free 100% of the time." And that's just like, I think there's like a handful of guys in Frisbee, his like statue and his basically status in the sport that would say, "I can just play reset handling. If that's what the team needs me to win, that's what I'm going to do." So that's like, big props to him. Then maybe my flowers to other people. There's so many people that I can't even start to thank or acknowledge. The people that like really have helped me. A couple of them are Ina. She was on the pod practice as well, which is the coach of the U24. She also does the whole youth scene in Ghent. And like, as I've said, we started with like 20 people from 12 until 18 when I was 10 years old, which is 12 years ago now. And now we have like, I think we're close to like 600 youth members in a city that has 100,000 people. So also not that big, which is definitely props to her. And she's also like developed me throughout the 2 U24 cycles that we had together. So she's definitely been a big part of it as well. Funny story, she had to write a letter of recommendation for my visa as well. So she had to glaze me on paper as well, which was funny. Yeah, so definitely her. All of my teammates in Ghent are super, super supportful or supporting. So yeah, I think I've given my flowers to pretty much everybody that needs it already, in private or in public. So I won't go too long about giving people's flowers. That's more like a private thing for me to do. I don't like to be very public with thanking people.
Gotcha.
I think it's more like a one-on-one thing that feels more like authentic and like real. If you can go to somebody and say, "Yo, I appreciate you for what you did, and I wouldn't be here without you."
Yeah.
So I think that's more like a one-on-one thing.
Gotcha. Very cool. And I think I remember too from the Decraene video, Ina. Am I pronouncing it right as well? Ina?
Yeah.
She had mentioned, like she was the other person in that Decraene video talking about the Gentle program and like how it started and her role.
Yeah.
And I think the more and more I've reflected on, especially kind of how Ultimate has developed in just different countries and regions, and like how teams have, on a national stage gotten maybe better or stronger or worse. I think it all, at the end of the day, it always comes back to like, which are the programs or cities that have the strongest youth systems and like those pipelines for developing players. And I think on the Gentle website, it mentions how Gentle is the biggest Ultimate program in all of Belgium. Is that correct? Do you know off the top of your head? I think that's
in Europe.
In Europe, sorry.
Yeah.
Biggest in Europe. So it is I think it should be no surprise that, Belgium is doing so well on the international stage, on the national stage, and the UFA and whatever. I think, again, another stat is like this is the first time that 2 international players have made the first all UFA team or something with you and Dan. So I know there's also some interpersonal competition and rivalry between you two, but again, we won't dive too much into that because we've been chatting for a while already on the main pod app. But yeah, again, I'll echo that. It sounds like Ina has been a huge part of developing that youth scene. So I think that's a great call out too to kind of give flowers to a person publicly, and I appreciate you mentioning it. So
yeah,
cool.
No worries at all.
Okay. And then the very last question that I have very quickly is, again, I just like the video that you had mentioned when you were 19 and your goals of playing U24s, top 6, you end up crushing it, getting to the finals. So I'm thinking maybe, you in, what is it now, 5 more years, or no, 6 more years, actually, I guess. So it's taken us to 2031.
Damn.
What is your goals for you in 2031? Maybe what message do you want to send to yourself? Like when you're watching this in 6 years, what do you want to say to yourself?
I hope I'm still one of the best in the world. I hope I have a lot more titles to my name. But most of all, maybe I hope that I'm still true to myself and doing the things I love. And like being the guy I want to be and training how hard I want to be training. And I hope that me and 5-year-olds can beat the shit out of me now. That's my dream.
the you in the future would completely destroy the you now.
I hope so. That would be awesome.
Okay. I'm just imagining you like, I don't think this is ever a possibility or a world, but like a you that is like plus 50 pounds, like again, more Babbitt-esque, just like just shoving the younger you out of the way.
I don't think
I'm getting this reset.
Babbitt-esque. I'll stay a little lighter than him for sure. I don't have his genes and his build, so I'm developing my own body type.
Got you, for sure. Okay, and to wrap things up, do you have any for people that want to, follow your journey or to reach out to you or just to chat with you, some of the programs that you have, like any things that you want to shout out at the end of this pod? What do you have going on in your life right now? Floor is yours.
I have a lot of different stuff going on actually at the moment. So you can always follow my Instagram. That's T_DC33. I have YouTube as well. Tobe Fit. I think that's my YouTube name. Shit, I don't recall.
We'll link it. Don't worry.
If you search my name, you'll probably find it. Then I also do personal training, which is Tobe Fit coaching. So I think that's pretty much what I've been doing for the moment. everything's Frisbee related. If you want to get more into Frisbee, follow my daily training, follow my daily life in general. That's going to be on those 3 platforms probably. So feel free to follow.
Yeah, and best of luck at the upcoming USA Nationals with Dig. They are in,
Thank you.
What is it, a week, 2 weeks, I think?
Yeah, leaving in 8 days.
8 days. Okay. So
Yep.
A couple more 2-a-days. You're almost there at the end of the season. And I'm sure that next day you're going to be back on that bench and going for 225 again.
Probably.
Okay. So with the conclusion of the regular ep, I would like to just say thank you all for listening. As a quick reminder, you can go to excelultimate.com for the premium episode portion of this segment, where we dive into some extra questions with Tobe. You can use code FOM10 for 10% off your monthly subscription. And thank you for listening to episode 3 of the Field of Mind podcast. Appreciate your time, and nice chatting with you, Tobe.
See ya.
Yeah. We touched on the podcast piece, and how you mentioned you probably listen to like 3-4 hours a day of pods. Yeah. What do you enjoy listening to?
There was like a big phase on like social media where everybody was David Goggins and whatever he did. Every 15 miles today, and then I'm gonna do this and that, and it's gonna make me so much better because I'm gonna get hard. And I was like, huh? You're just gonna get like injured. So please don't.